Think about the last time you interacted with someone in a professional setting. Maybe it was a doctor, a teacher, or a mechanic fixing your car. What gave you confidence in their ability to do that job? It probably wasn't just their knowledge. It was how they presented themselves, how they communicated with you, and the way they handled the overall interaction. That's professionalism.
Have you ever worked with Dr. Francis?
Oh yeah, he's okay.
Just okay?
Guess who just got reinstated? Well, not officially. Nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. I'll see you in there.
In today's workplace, professionalism isn't just a nice extra. It's the factor that sets you apart when many people have similar skills. It's what helps build your reputation, strengthen your relationships, and it will open doors for your professional advancement. In this lecture, we're going to explore the key elements of professionalism, and more importantly, how you can live them out in practical ways every day. Whether we like it or not, people form opinions about us quickly. So within the first 7 to 10 seconds of meeting a new person, we have a first impression or a gestalt formed about who those people are. First impressions are powerful, so once they're formed, they tend to stick, and it takes a really long time to overcome a bad first impression. Professional appearance doesn't mean that you have to wear a suit everywhere that you go. It means that you present yourself in a way that fits the environment, that you're neat, clean, intentional. If you're in an office setting, that might mean business casual or business professional. If you're in a trade or healthcare setting, it could mean wearing the uniform of your organization with pride. Either way, the goal is the same: to look like you respect yourself, the job, and the people that you work with. But appearance is only part of it. First impressions are also shaped by our body language, how we hold ourselves with our posture, our handshakes, facial expressions, and sometimes even how we enter a room. Eye contact helps show people that we're confident and that we're interested in having a conversation. A smile makes you approachable. Standing tall communicates energy and capability. And remember, first impressions, they just aren't in person anymore. Employers might, quote, meet you for the first time now through an email, through a LinkedIn profile, a Zoom call. Your digital presence is now part of your professional appearance. So ask yourself, if someone met me for the first time today, online or in person, what impression would I leave? When we talk about communication skills, professionalism shows up most clearly in the way that we communicate. People judge our competence based not only on what we know, but on how well we can share that information with other people. In verbal communication, clarity is key, so avoiding filler words like or you know. Speak at a pace that's easy to follow and adapt your language to your audience. The way you'd explain something to your manager may not be the same way that you would explain it to a customer or a colleague. And tone matters too. A professional tone doesn't mean being cold or stiff. It means being respectful and aware of how our words might come across to someone else, especially with written communication. If we send a sloppy email with typos or no greeting or vague subject lines, all of those things can make you look careless in a professional setting. You see, professional emails are clear, they're concise, and they're polite. They leave no doubt to the sender of that message about what it is that you're trying to communicate. This is where tone can get tricky. You've probably seen this in your own relationships. Something that might feel playful in face-to-face conversation with someone can come across as rude or abrupt in a text. In person, joking with a smile, wow, thanks for helping so much today, that would probably come across as how you intended, playful and joking. But if you were to send an email with that exact same line, wow, thanks for helping so much today, it could sound bitter or it could sound a little bit passive-aggressive. Instead of sending a message that says sure, which can come across as a little bit annoyed or dismissive, you could say sure, sounds good, thumbs up. So here's where the use of emojis is now not only common, accepted practice in professional settings, it actually, research shows, the use of emojis can help clarify tone and make sure that our messages are conveyed in the appropriate way in digital setting. Now we're going to talk about work ethic and reliability. Professionalism shows up in our reliability. So employers, supervisors, and teammates all want to know one thing: can I count on you? And this starts with time management. So being late repeatedly doesn't just mean that you missed a clock. It communicates disrespect for other people's time. Arriving prepared and on schedule shows that you value the job and you value the people around you. And this is the number one reason people get in trouble in professional settings, is that they're late repeatedly, and it just sends a bad impression. I'll give you a tip here, though. If you are late, take donuts. I laugh when I say that, but I had a colleague who would be late pretty consistently. But he would always come with donuts, and he would come into the meeting and he would say, "Sorry guys, I'm late. I stopped to get us donuts." And we could never figure out, well, was he late because he stopped to get us donuts, or was he just late? But the fact that he brought donuts, people love food in professional settings. I think it interrupted that process of people forming a negative impression and was like, "Oh, okay, well, donuts. Yeah, awesome, cool. Thanks so much." And so he did that, and people still viewed him positively, even though he was late. Following through is equally as important. If you say that you're going to complete a task, then make sure that you complete it. If circumstances change and you can't complete it by the deadline, well, let people know early. Send them an email and say, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to meet that deadline. I'm going to need a few days extension, if at all possible." Way too often I see people just don't say anything, and that's a horrible way to approach that. People should not have to reach out to you for an update that you said that you were going to provide by a certain date or time. So over time, those types of surprises and excuses can chip away at our credibility in professional settings. And then you'll unfortunately earn a reputation as someone who just doesn't meet deadlines, and that you're undependable, unreliable. And that's not a brand that you want to have for yourself. Work ethic is also about the quality. So professionalism isn't about just doing the bare minimum. It's about taking pride in your work. So double check an email before you send it. Review a report for accuracy. Rehearse a presentation one extra time. Those little choices that we can make communicate that we care a lot about our job. Reliability also builds trust. And in the workplace, trust, just like in professional relationships, that's currency. So the more that people trust you, the more opportunities that you'll be offered in that professional setting. This is probably one of the most overlooked areas in professionalism. I see it all the time with people. It's about how we treat other people. Respect, you see, is foundational, and that means treating everyone with courtesy, regardless of their role or their status. When we gossip, when we practice negativity, when we have cliques, those things damage your reputation far more than they damage the people that you're talking about. Because people like to talk, and it will always get back to them. Teamwork also requires balance. Professionals know how to contribute ideas without dominating the conversation. They also give credit when credit is due. Recognizing other people's work and efforts, well, that builds goodwill and it strengthens the overall team. Conflict is inevitable, but it doesn't have to damage your professionalism. And this is where we can also use I language instead of placing blame. So you could say, "I see it differently," instead of "you're wrong." Using I language will help keep your discussions constructive. And focus on solutions instead of assigning fault, and that will also help move things forward if you do run into conflict. And finally, remember that workplaces are filled with people from all kinds of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. So professionalism means that we're open to learning from those differences, rather than just making assumptions about people and assuming that their perspective or their point of view is automatically wrong. Openness builds stronger teams, and it prevents unnecessary conflict. So at the end of the day, people may forget exactly what you said or did in a professional setting, but they will always remember how it felt to work with you. I'll say that again. At the end of the day, people may forget all of the things that you say and do in a professional setting, but they will never forget how it felt to work with you. Let's stop for a second and do a reflection activity about uncertainty. So imagine that you've just started your dream job, but after 6 months, the company suddenly announces layoffs, and your job, unfortunately, is one of the jobs that's going to be let go. What would your first reaction be? How could you respond in a way that still shows professionalism? What steps could you take right away to move forward in a positive direction? And how might that experience affect the way that you approach your next opportunity? With those prompts in mind, let's talk now about adaptability and lifelong learning and how to navigate a job loss or uncertainty. Losing a job, unfortunately, is going to be probably a fact of life. I think the research suggests about 85% of people will be laid off are fired from a job over the course of their lifetime. And a lot of times these things happen out of the blue. I mean, I have my PhD because I worked in finance during 2008 in the great financial recession. And the company that I worked for at the time, Wachovia Bank, went under overnight. We came into work the next day and the doors were locked. And this was an organization that employed 50,000 people in the Charlotte, North Carolina metropolitan area. And the doors were locked. We literally woke up one day, went to work, and there was no job. Talk about the stress that brings on people, on their families. It wasn't good. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks. It was a very stressful time in my life. And I used that opportunity, though, to go back to school and to change careers and to better myself. And I went back, got my PhD, and decided that I wanted to teach. It was always something I had an interest in. And here I am, 15 years later, still teaching. And so it tends to work itself out and lead you into a better place. But in the moment, it doesn't feel that way. It's going to hurt and it's going to sting. So some professional advice that I would give you in those circumstances, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation. Remember that you can only control what is within your immediate ability. And so you may not be able to control anything around that job loss, but you can update your resume. You can polish your LinkedIn profile. You can continue networking. You can reach out to other people. You can talk to mentors, colleagues, career services for guidance. You can use that downtime to build new skills or certifications. You could be like me. You could go back to school and completely change career paths. Also, you need to manage your stress. So exercise, keep healthy routines that helps keep you resilient. Journal, write your thoughts down, get that negative energy and emotion out. And then last is just stay adaptable. You see, uncertainty, that's temporary, but flexibility will always help you land on your feet. Job loss and job change is unfortunately going to be something that you will most likely experience in your lifetime. And so navigating that in a positive way can help maintain your health, mental and physical health, as well as make sure that you land on your feet quickly and end up in a better place. Professionalism isn't just about what you do right now, the here and now and in the moment. It's about how you also prepare for what's next. Professionals are always thinking ahead, and they're thinking of, okay, where am I now, but where do I want to be? And not only where do I want to be, but what are some roadblocks? What are some things that could happen that I might need to anticipate or prepare for in the event that some of these challenges happen? Technology evolves, companies reorganize, and challenges arise, like I said, when you least expect them. So professionals who adapt remain valuable, and those who resist change being left behind. I'll give you another example here. So COVID-19 was not a good time for a lot of people professionally. People's lives were turned upside down at a moment's notice. A lot of people lost jobs. They were laid off. In academia, everything changed overnight. All of our classes went online. Well, I just happened to have some experience in online teaching and learning, and I had been working in that space prior. And so I was always thinking ahead of like, what are the things that I can be involved in? What are my specialties? What can I be working in that will help me be professional but remain relevant and adaptable? Because again, my prior experience working in banking had been one that did not end well with being laid off. And so I wanted to avoid that. Generally, the more skill sets that you bring to the table, the more things that you're involved in, the harder it's going to be for a company to decide that you're going to be the person that needs to be let go, because you're valuable. You bring things to the table in multiple areas. So not only was I a good teacher, but I was also working in the online space. I won a teaching award, a national teaching award in 2022, a National Innovation of the Year award. And so I'm always trying to think ahead of when I see opportunities at work and programs where they say, hey, we're looking for people to help us work on XYZ. If you have the opportunity to participate in things like that, you should do so, because it's going to help build your brand. And that brand, the more valuable you are, the more likely it is that you're going to keep your job in times of uncertainty. I also see that now with the use of artificial intelligence. That was something up until the last year people had no knowledge of, but yet I've been teaching about how to use AI in classroom settings and models for the last few years. So guess what? Guess who now is looked at as one of the experts on University Park's campus for artificial intelligence? Not to toot my own horn, but that would be me. So again, see, having that flexibility and adaptability, thinking ahead, being a part of those things will help build your brand and help you contribute in positive ways. Adaptability also requires a growth mindset, and that's essentially the description that I just gave you, thinking ahead. Challenges are not always threats. They're opportunities to learn. And feedback, even criticism, sometimes when we get that can become a tool for improvement if we look at that in a positive way and think of it as, how can I take this criticism or feedback and become better and not look at it as a personal attack? Continuous learning is also a part of professionalism, and that could just mean staying abreast of knowledge in your specific field, pursuing certifications in your job, or simply staying curious and asking good questions. You see, employers want people who don't just know how to do today's job, but people who are ready to grow into tomorrow's. And perhaps the most powerful sign of professionalism is how we act under pressure. Anybody can be polished when things go smoothly, but true professionalism shows up when the deadlines are tight, when mistakes happen, or when everything seems uncertain in the world around us. The people who stay calm, respectful, and focused during those moments, well, that leaves a lasting impression on the people around you. We often tend to think of work as our professional careers as this upward arrow, that we get a college degree or we get certifications and then we get a job, and that it is just going to naturally continue to progress up and up and up until we reach the pinnacle or the top of whatever field or job or career that we have. But that's not true. It doesn't always go up, up, up. In fact, it looks more like this: a jumbled mess that is going to require you to be adaptable, and that is going to require you to navigate some uncertainty. But remember, uncertainty, though, is temporary. As we end today's lecture, I want to talk about why professionalism matters in a little bit more detail. You see, it builds our trust and credibility. Employers, coworkers, clients, they all want to know that they can rely on us. And it signals competence, reliability, and respect. When people trust us, well, they give us more responsibility and more opportunities. It also, being professional, will improve your communication and relationships by reducing your misunderstandings and conflict. It also shows respect, and respect, just like in our personal lives, it builds stronger, healthier relationships. Research tells us that teams function a lot better when everyone behaves professionally. Imagine that. When we behave professionally, our teams work better and we are more productive. Sort of the whole point of having a job, right? It will also improve your career opportunities. Many employers will tell you this. It shows up all the time in job surveys, is that they value professionalism as much as technical skills. And that's because they can teach you technical skills. You can be taught how to do a job. You cannot be taught how to be professional. Either you have it or you don't. It's either demonstrated through your skill sets and the actions that you do day to day, showing up, being respectable, being positive, being a good communicator, being a good team player. They value that as much as technical skills because those tend to be innate to who we are as people. And let's be real, we live in a digital age, and in a digital age, your reputation can be damaged or shattered in minutes. Cancel culture is a reminder that unprofessional actions, especially online, those can follow you for years and years. I think 70% of job employers say that they search the social media of an interviewee before they offer them a job. 70% search for your social media before they offer you a job. Why? Because they're looking. They want to see, well, how do you represent yourself in your personal life? They're looking for professionalism. They're looking for anything that could be damaging to your credibility that would signal a red flag, give them hesitation to hire you. So a single thoughtless post can outweigh years and years of good work. You can be an incredibly good employee. You can have built a really good reputation and a strong brand, and in a moment, because of one comment, one post that you post online, your professional career is shattered. True professionals also hold themselves accountable. If they make a mistake, they own it. They apologize sincerely and they learn from it. Ignoring or doubling down only makes the consequences worse. Cancel culture reminds us that professionalism isn't just about today's job. It's also about the reputation. Professionalism is our safeguard. It is consistent, respectful behavior that ensures that the image that you project matches the person you want to be known as. I'm going to leave you with some tips, what I'm calling Dr. C's tips for students entering the workforce. Again, I come from a successful professional background, and I always share these experiences with students because I think they're far more valuable than tests. And that's why you'll see that you don't have tests or final exams in my class, because I want you to walk away with real world practical knowledge and information. So here's some tips that I would offer for you as you enter the workforce or as you want to grow your own level of professionalism if you're already in the workforce. The first is to practice emotional intelligence. And this is just being self-aware, having self-control, empathy. All of these things are hallmarks of professionalism. So a lot of times I see that my students have, or they know many of the technical skills, but they overlook how managing emotions at work can really set them apart as true professionals. The water cooler talk, gossiping, spreading rumors, being a bad colleague. Well, those negative emotions, that really sets the tone of how other people can view you. Learning when it's professional to disconnect, because you have to have a proper work-life balance, and when it's expected to be always on. So if you're going through a period of time at work where you've got an important project and the deadline is approaching, well, it probably is going to be good to be, quote, always on in those circumstances. If your boss or colleague, someone needs to reach out after hours and they try to, then you should probably respond. But otherwise, if it's not during a big project or something like that, then being professional is also setting boundaries and letting other people know that, hey, I'll get back to you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning when I'm back. It is okay to disconnect and professional to let other people know what those boundaries are. The third is having a professional growth mindset. Remember, professionalism isn't static. It's not something that you reach and then you're just like, oh, great, I am professional. I don't have to do anything else. No, it is built daily and it will continue for the rest of your professional careers. So show curiosity, ask questions, be coachable. Those are professional traits that employers love. Go to conferences, read journals, magazines that are relevant to your field. Stay in that growth mindset of being better, because there is always something else that we can learn or areas that we can improve in terms of our own communication. Practice workplace etiquette and small courtesies. These are basic things like saying thank you, replying promptly to an email when appropriate, respecting shared workspaces, not leaving your trash all over the break room, not stealing someone's food from the office refrigerator, not multitasking during meetings. I see this all the time. I'll go into meetings with colleagues and it'll be a presentation. I've spent a lot of time preparing information that I'm going to share out, and you'll see everybody in front of you and they'll have their laptops and they're sending emails and they're doing other things. Guess what? If you're sending emails and you're working on other stuff during the meeting, guess what that means you're not doing? If you said active listening, well, you would be correct. And so that sends a message to me as the person who's presenting in that meeting that says, you know what, you don't value my time. You don't think what I have to say is as important as that email you're sending. And people pick up on that. So good colleagues, professionals, will not multitask during a meeting. They'll give the speaker their attention, and people will respect you more because of that. And that's something that is so easy and simple to do that doesn't require a lot of effort. Just listen, practice effective listening, and don't multitask. These small, you see, consistent actions, these are all bits of proof. Tomislav Sola said that professionalism is like love. It's these bits of proof that testify to devotion and care. And it is. It's all these little things. You don't just get to say you're a professional. It shows up in all of these little things that you do. And the last two is handling feedback and criticism. And to be fair, many students do struggle here. Many adults struggle here. I still struggle here. Negative criticism can be hard to take. If your boss comes to you and says, hey, Rick, you're doing a really good job with XYZ, but I'd like to see you continue to work on improving in being a better team player in terms of tone and attitude around the office. Well, that can sting to hear. That can hurt your feelings. You're going to go back and you're going to text your bestie. You're going to go to your work wife or your work husband and you're going to say, can you believe they said that I don't have a good attitude? I chuckle to myself because people say that to me sometimes. I'm thinking, yeah, because you really don't have a good attitude there, Becky. But it is an area that we struggle with. So if it's legit feedback, let's not take it personal and look at that and say, okay, you know what? Fair point, fair assessment. Let me be better in that area. And that's how I would respond. I'd say, you know what? Thank you. I thank you for that feedback. Definitely not my intent to come across as someone who has a bad attitude or who doesn't respect their colleagues. And I'm not going to make excuses for my action. That's something I want to work on. I want to improve in that area. Thank you so much. That will help you grow your professionalism and respect with your boss or manager who was providing you that feedback. And then if you implement it, it's going to help you be viewed even more professional, because they're going to say, you know what? I went to Rick with some negative criticism, with some feedback, and he heard me. He listened. He was respectful in hearing me give him that feedback. He told me he was going to do something about it. And by gosh, he went and did it. Like, that's going to open doors of opportunity for you and build your brand in such a powerful way in your career. And the last is, remember to have professional accountability online. So beyond council culture, students should understand that even private group chats, memes, screenshots, things that you think you're sending someone in confidence, just you and them, or within a group chat, you see it in the news all the time. Those things come back up because somebody shares it. Years, decades later, those things can come back up. So professionalism means assuming anything and everything that you put out there in a digital space could at some point in time become public. So remember that. I'm going to end with this quote again. Professionalism isn't a title that you give yourself, guys. It's the result of consistent actions. It's not a label, but it's a reputation that others grant you because of how you show up day after day. And I've shared this book suggestion with you guys in the past, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This was a book that I read early in my professional career, right out of college. And it really did shape and change the way that I looked at my communication in professional and personal settings. So if you want to learn more about this space, how to be professional, this is a fantastic book that I would highly recommend. So to recap, professionalism is built on appearance and first impressions, clear and respectful communication, a reliable work ethic, healthy interpersonal relationships, and an ability to adapt and to keep learning. Together, all of these qualities help us create a professional reputation that will follow you throughout your entire career. Professionalism isn't just about the job that you have. It's about the impression that you leave on other people. And that impression, well, it's one of the most powerful tools you'll ever carry into the workplace.